Fernandes. Oh, brilliant. Brilliant, Bruno Fernandes.
Do you know that Bruno Fernandes is the best player in the league right now? Sounds bold, right? But look closer. The midfielder who doesn't just play the game, he controls it. The one who can shift a match in a split second with a pass, a shot, or a piece of magic that leaves everyone speechless. Bruno Fernandes has become the player every team fears and every fan admires, and he's doing it week in, week out.
I mean, he's been the only shining light, really. You know, as I said to him last season before the Europa League final, they were so lucky to have you. You know, the impact he's had on this football club. He's so consistent. He's so fit. Yes, it is. He's always there. He's always available. He produces goals and assists. Yeah, okay, sometimes he puts his arms up, but that's because he cares.
But here's the kicker. It wasn't always like this. There was a time when Bruno Fernandes was doubted, when the weight of his price tag and expectations almost seemed too much, when the question wasn't if he would succeed, but how he would survive the pressure. So how did this player, once questioned for his consistency, evolve into the best player in the Premier League? The answer? It's not just talent. It's the transformation, the mental resilience, and the unstoppable drive to become the leader Manchester United needs. If you think you know Bruno Fernandes, think again. This is the untold story of how he went from a player under fire to a superstar in the making. Do you remember last season when Manchester United missed out on Champions League football?
I said it earlier, this United team, they lack that real quality. They struggle defensively. United look all over the place. I think they're just United are an average team, an average Premier League team.
The heartbreak, the frustration, and the endless debates over what went wrong. It wasn't supposed to be this way. United had a squad full of talent, but somehow they couldn't make it to Europe's biggest stage. And in the midst of it all, one player's name kept coming up in the heated discussions: Bruno Fernandes. The goals and assists that once flowed so freely seemed to dry up. The player who had been the team's spark, the one they relied on to create magic, was now being criticized, with fans starting to wonder, was Bruno the problem? What had happened to the Bruno that once carried United? Where was the player who arrived from Sporting CP with high hopes and even higher expectations? Instead of leading United's charge, he was now accused of being part of the problem, too selfish, too inconsistent, too unreliable in big moments. And the frustration reached its peak as United stumbled to a fifth-place finish, falling short of Champions League qualification. The criticism of Bruno Fernandes became louder. But was it really his fault? Was he the issue, or was it something deeper, something bigger than just one player? But what happened when Ruben Amorim took charge of United's midfield? Suddenly, Bruno Fernandes wasn't playing in his usual role. The fiery, free-roaming playmaker who was expected to create in the final third was now playing deeper, more confined, tracking back more than ever and creating fewer chances. Under Amorim, Bruno was asked to adopt a role that didn't suit his strengths. Amorim's system demanded discipline, defensive work, and an ability to link play from deep. Gone was the high-flying Bruno who thrived as the team's attacking pivot. Instead, he found himself sitting deeper in midfield, trying to build play from the back, often isolated and forced into uncomfortable positions. And the results? Frustration. Fans didn't see Bruno's spark anymore. They didn't see the same confidence or the player who could dominate the middle of the park. Instead, he looked uncomfortable, out of position, and uncertain. United struggled, and so did Bruno. His usual runs into the box, his signature late-arriving shots, they were non-existent. It wasn't that Bruno wasn't working hard, it wasn't that he lost his ability, it was that Ruben Amorim had him playing a role that just didn't fit. The creativity that had made him one of the most dangerous midfielders in Europe was being diluted. Instead of orchestrating attacks and creating chaos, Bruno was tasked with managing defensive responsibilities and slower build-up play. As the season wore on, the disconnect grew. Bruno wasn't getting into the positions where he could be most effective, and United weren't playing to his strengths. Fans began to question, what happened to the player we saw at the start? Where is the Bruno Fernandes who made a difference? Amorim's tactics had worked in the past, but under the intense pressure of the Premier League, it wasn't translating. It seemed like Bruno had become a shadow of his former self, stuck in a position that didn't bring out his best. But despite it all, there was still hope Could Bruno adapt to this new role? Or would this experiment be another setback in his time at United? By the time Ruben Amorim's tenure at Manchester United reached its breaking point, the tension was palpable. What began as a promising experiment to revitalize United's midfield had turned into a clash of ideologies, and ultimately, it led to a major fallout between Amorim and the Manchester United board. It wasn't just about results. It wasn't even solely about Bruno Fernandes' struggles. The deeper issue was the growing disagreement over the direction of the team.
No, guys, I just want to say that I came here to be the manager of Manchester United, not to be the coach. And every department, the scouting department, the sport director needs to do their job. I will do mine for 18 months and then we move on.
The United board had hoped that Amorim's tactical approach, one that had worked wonders at Sporting CP, could transform United into a more organized, defensive powerhouse. But what was happening on the pitch couldn't have been further from that vision. The board had initially bought into Amorim's vision, but the stale performances and lack of progress led to growing frustration. And with his departure came the questions. What now for Bruno Fernandes? Would the manager's tactics, which had constrained him, be the reason his career at United faltered? Or would a new manager be able to unlock the potential once again? When Michael Carrick stepped in as the interim manager of Manchester United, he inherited a team low on confidence, struggling for consistency, and desperate for direction. And up next on the schedule were some of the toughest games imaginable: Manchester City, Arsenal, and then a tricky test against Fulham. What Carrick did next didn't just defy expectations, it changed the narrative of United's season. First up was the Manchester Derby, facing a City side sitting second in the league, full of elite talent and confidence. Many expected United to be outmatched. Instead, Carrick's side produced a disciplined, controlled performance and beat Manchester City 2-0.
In the area! That is clinical!
Then came the test that would truly turn heads, a trip to the Emirates Stadium to face Arsenal, then firmly in the Premier League title race. Arsenal had been nearly unbeatable at home all season, but Carrick's United produced a thrilling performance and beat the league leaders 3-2, inflicting Arsenal's first home league defeat in months. This victory wasn't just about 3 points, it was about belief.
Chance here for Cunha!
United faced Fulham back at Old Trafford, a team known for being tough and competitive. In a dramatic thriller that saw United take a 2-0 lead, only to concede and see the game slip back to 2-2 late on, all seemed lost. But in the 94th minute, Benjamin Šeško, set up by captain Bruno Fernandes' brilliant late pass, struck the winner in stoppage time to seal a memorable 3-2 victory. Bruno also scored in the 2-0 win against Tottenham, showing his class in the Premier League.
Diogo Dalot, that's just not looking for Šeško! Turn home! Bruno Fernandes!
But here's the real question. Do you believe Manchester United is truly back? With Carrick's tactical brilliance, the resilience of the team, and the leadership of Bruno Fernandes, can they rise from the ashes and reclaim their spot at the pinnacle of European football? Can Bruno, once doubted, now lead them to the stage where they truly belong? The journey is far from over, but one thing is clear: United are fighting again. And with Bruno Fernandes at the helm, anything is possible. The question now is, will they make it happen? If you think you've seen the best of Bruno Fernandes, think again. Subscribe, hit the bell, and stay with us as we follow Manchester United's journey back to the top. The best is yet to come.